You're listening to Simple Roots Radio episode 86, and today we're breaking down the question, do you really need to detox?
Welcome to Simple Roots Radio with Alexa Sherm. Alexa believes that simplicity in life is the key to achieving true and lasting health. And now your host, Alexa Sherm.
Welcome back to this podcast. I'm your host, Alexa, and this is the place to get healthy, live happy, and find joy. Today, we're talking more about health and a question that's constantly circulating. Do you really need to do a detox? Now, we're going to specifically look at the physiological detoxification. But I have to warn you because I may go on a rant or two about other things that we could really be detoxing from. Because it's not just all about how we eat and how we exercise. And when in fact, I think this whole stress component of our life, our relationships, our mindset, our emotions, our faith, our spirituality, this all matters maybe even more than what we eat and how we exercise. So I'm going to go on a few rants about that, but we're really going to keep it pretty cut and dry when it comes to detoxification. And I'll get into all that other stuff this summer. I know there's a whole summer series coming that I'm so excited about, all on the mindset, on the power of our emotions and our body and how we can work with our body instead of against it. And we're going to kind of talk about that today with detoxification because I'm a firm believer that it's not just about slapping the Band-Aid on it. It's not just about doing something for your body, but it's about allowing the space and the environment for your body to heal. It's about working with your body instead of this constant battle I see so many people going into. But we're going to dig into that. Before we get started though, I have a few things that I want to tell you. First up, you can find all the information on today's show in any podcast episode over in the show notes. So the show notes aren't just bullet points of what happened in today's show, but I really try to provide a new form of show notes where I provide additional information and resources to help further the conversation we're having here. So today, as we're talking about detoxification, you can go to the blog and learn more about detoxification, as well as get a free handout to help you along in this journey. And a lot of my shows actually have those free handouts for you to go grab and download to really just take this information and put it into action. Because one thing I know of myself is that we live in information overwhelm. Most of us know the right answers. It's just how do we implement those into our life to actually see results? So over in the show notes, I want to help you do that to actually take action on the stuff that we're talking about here. So make sure you head to the show notes. The show notes are at simplerootswellness.com and then / the episode number. So for today, it's simplerootswellness.com / 086 to learn all about today's show and get more information. And while you're there, you should go ahead and sign up for my email list. Now, I know you probably have a full inbox. You don't want to subscribe to anything else, but I really try to be someone different in your inbox. I try to be a light and encouragement, as well as provide tips and tricks that are realistic to helping you on this journey. Not to mention, I share my own journey. So if you want to get to know me more and I want to get to know you more, it's a great place for us to connect and communicate in a different light, in a different way. So just head on over to the show notes, simplerootswellness.com / 086 to sign up for my email list as well. And while you're there, why don't you follow me on Instagram and Facebook? I am really kind of reformatting and transitioning into less structure with my social media posts and just more me and more things that are going to help you, because I don't like to just follow brand Instagram accounts, right? Like I like to follow the human. And so I really am going to try and bring more of me into those accounts. And I would love for you to join that journey. Then I can also follow you back. So again, my Instagram account is at Alexa Sherm and my Facebook account is Simple Roots Wellness. So again, follow me over there and we can have a lot of fun doing different things there. And before we get started, if you wouldn't mind, one more thing, I know, but while you're on your computer, if you wouldn't mind just heading over to simplerootswellness.com / review and leaving a rating and review. Now, I talk about this on every show. You're going to continuously hear this as the episodes progress. And it's because this is literally the lifeblood of the show. This is how Simple Roots Radio continues and grows and develops into what you want it to be. I read every single rating and review. They mean the world to me. And so if you wouldn't mind, if you haven't already, it takes no more than 2 minutes. Just head on over there, leave your honest feedback. What do you think of Simple Roots Radio? What would you like to see more of? What would you like to see less of? Again, I read every single review and I just love to hear your feedback. So I'm going to thank you in advance from the bottom of my heart for doing that for me. Again, that's simplerootswellness.com / review. Okay, we're going to get right into detoxification, but don't forget to stick around to the end because I have a health fact at the very end talking more about why does warm lemon water actually work and how can you do this on the fly. So stick around to the end and I give you a sneak peek at what's coming up right here on Simple Roots Radio. Okay, now let's get to the show. Detoxification. Now, detoxification, as you know, is not a light subject. It's controversial, there tend to be sides to it, and everyone seems to have an opinion. Which I used to be scared of this controversial stuff, this opinionated stuff, because I always get backlash. But here's the thing that I'm really starting to accept, is that everything good tends to be controversial. And I think controversy shows that there's emotions invested, that it must work to some extent. And so I think controversy can be a good sign that people actually are invested in the subject and want to learn more, whether good or bad. I think it shows a lot for the power of it. If there wasn't controversy, then it would mean maybe no one's doing it, or maybe it doesn't work because there's really no emotion invested into it. So that's my little rant on that, which I don't know why. I feel like it's a soapbox kind of day, so just bear with me on this one. So we're going to dig into detoxification. Now, there's a lot of things that I believe that we should be detoxing from. Not just physiological detoxing, but maybe detoxing from our phone or detoxing from social media or all these things that are going to help lighten the load and lessen the stress burden on our body, because they really do matter and they really do add up to stress on our body. However, this summer, we're going to dive all into that with a mindset, the emotional receptors of the body, and how we can really develop that in health. But again, that's all this summer. So today we're just going to stick with the physiological detox. Now, I might go on a few more soapboxes or rants about the other subjects. I'm going to give you fair warning ahead of time, but it's really because I fully believe that that mindset component is so critical, maybe even more critical than just the straight what we should eat and how we should exercise strategies. There's so much more involved and invested, and therefore maybe why so many people don't see the results that they want to see is because we only take certain sections of the pie when we really have to look at the entire thing. But today, like I said, we're just digging into the physiological detoxification pathways, what they do, why you should get acquainted with it, and really the belief that I want you to take out of this is that we have to start working with our body instead of against it. So how can we work with our body to naturally detoxify rather than just doing it for your body? Because there's two totally different things when our body does it and when we try to do it for our body. Because we never do it as well as our body can, so why not just create the space so our body can do the job that it was designed? Now, here's the thing. The traditional view of detoxification generally just means slap a Band-Aid on it. Not always. Sometimes they involve crazy drinks or a crazy amount of supplements, coffee enemas. I mean, there's all sorts of things that can be beneficial in some way. But at the end of the day, it really goes back to how can we help our body do the job that it was designed? You're going to hear me say that a lot because I really want us to process that it's not just slapping the Band-Aid on and doing something for our body. Now, there's a time and a place to help it out in that way, but we really have to start looking at how can I just create the environment and the space to allow my body to heal itself? So today I'm going to take into account these 3 questions, and I want you to think about these. 1, are you living in a healthy environment? I'm talking spiritually healthy, relationally healthy, physically healthy. Like, are you living in a healthy environment? Number 2, are you nourishing your body well? And number 3, are you giving it rest? If you feel like you have something going on, some kind of symptoms, maybe your body is a little more sluggish than you realize, and it's really time to evaluate why. So I think it's important to stop sometimes and evaluate, okay, what are we feeling? How is our energy level? And then start to think about, okay, how am I living? Am I stressed? Am I staying up late to get work done? Like, how am I treating my body versus how is it feeling? And then kind of go back and rework your system. Okay, how can I reevaluate this and work on things? How can I add some more good in and maybe cancel out the bad, right? How can I create new habits based on that? So again, I think it's really important to evaluate that and to stop and just understand that, whether daily or just monthly or even yearly, wherever you are, if you've never stopped to evaluate, take today to evaluate those questions. Are you living in a healthy environment? Are you nourishing your body well? Are you giving it rest? And what are you feeling? Your answers to that can say so much. So here's the thing about detoxification before we get into it. I think so much of the stress on our body comes from the mental and emotional stress that we have in our lives. So a lot of what we're going to talk about today is physiological responses. And half of those are really going to come from the mindset and the emotional response. The other half maybe are from things in our environment, physical things that we come in contact with. Today, we're going to talk more about the physical. And like I said, this summer, we're going to talk more about the emotional and mental side of things, because there's a huge transition that can happen if we can start to pull all of what we're learning together and really see great changes from that. But like I said, this might be another soapbox, but stress and our emotions are the number one culprit of poor health. How we metabolize, how our hormones are released, a lot of it comes from our mindset. Yes, every single cell in our body has a receptor for emotions. It is changing how we express our genes and how our cells are working. It's called epigenetics. So we have to get to a place where we're not just reducing stress, but we're learning to manage it, which is what we're going to dig into all summer long. But the one thing I feel like we must know today about detoxification that most people don't look into is that detoxification happens every single day. Yes, maybe even every hour of every day, our body is constantly working on detoxifying itself. Now, of course, the best time to do this is in a state of rest or when we're not digesting food. But even when we're digesting, that could be a form of detoxification where your body's taking in what it needs and getting rid of the rest. But regardless, the thing is our body is constantly detoxing. So it's not just that you have to hop on a cleanse every so often because your body needs cleaned out. No, our body is cleaning itself out daily. Now, how can we provide the right space to do this? So today I'm going to break down how your body actually detoxifies, because it's important to take note of this, how it's affecting our body and our genetics, which is called epigenetics, or how our genes are expressed. And then we're going to dig into 5 points to help you detoxify daily. So what is a toxin? We have to start with the basic. We are coming in contact with so many toxins, a lot of which we can't even see. So we're breathing them in, we're eating them on our food, whether pesticides or herbicides, fertilizers, they're in our beauty products like parabens, and in our plastics like BPA. We're getting heavy metals. We're just getting all sorts of things. In my own health journey, one of the biggest things that I was getting was mold. And so we're seeing all kinds of toxins coming into our bodies in different ways, some of which we can control and some of which we can't. But this is a natural part of daily life. In most cases, we're not going to be able to get rid of all toxins. Therefore, why we have to support natural detoxification. But the thing about toxins is that they're showing up in our body for months and years in urine and blood tests. So some of these toxins we know, our body has a really, really, really hard time detoxifying. However, this is very individualized, and we're going to see that based on your genetics and even based on male or female, how fast and quickly your body can detoxify these things. But toxins are building up in our body. Just to give you a few statistics, it's estimated that the human body is harboring between 250 and 500 synthetic chemicals on any given day. And even, get this, they found over 200 toxins in the cord blood of newborn babies. So it's not just that we have them in our body, but we're passing these down from generation to generation. And that's a lot of toxins. And while those statistics can be really scary, I understand that, it's not just about frustration, throwing your hands up and running away, saying like, I'm going to go all or nothing, right? And just becoming obsessive about it. But it's also at the same time not thinking, well, there's nothing we can do about it, so we might as well just keep eating and living any way we want, just knowing like when our day comes to go, we're going to be gone, right? No. Well, you can do either side of those. I think there has to be a happy medium. And the happy medium comes from just providing the right environment, controlling what you can, and daily working on habits to increase the longevity of your body, to better your mind, to deepen your spirituality, and just feel better overall. So again, going back to the toxins, what is a toxin? A toxin is a substance that's harmful to the body after eating a single exposure or repeated exposures over time. So all of us are being exposed to these low levels of synthetic chemicals repeatedly, like day after day. We're constantly being exposed to toxins. Now, low-level chronic exposures to synthetic chemicals, even low-level chronic exposure to synthetic chemicals, levels where the FDA has deemed not harmful, over time has even been shown to produce negative health consequences. The problem is that our body can't easily eliminate many of these toxins or even break them down. So they start to get stored in places. So here's the thing. When our body ingests a lot of toxins, or a lot of toxins are inside our body and our body can't break them down, right? Our liver is either backed up or it can't process it. So it backs up in the bloodstream. Now, our body hates to have extra things floating around in our bloodstream. It's a very delicate and intricate system that needs to keep in the right concentration. So we don't want it to concentrate with substances and cells and toxins and amino acids and sugars and other things, but we also don't want it to dilute. And so we have to have this perfect homeostasis inside our bloodstream, and we have buildup of toxins. Our body's going to start pumping them out into places to get stored. Now, what's the best storage place? Of course, it's fat, right? So our body starts to pump these toxins into our fat tissues, again, increasing the body fat that you have, maybe not the fat cells, but increasing the size of those cells, making it like you appear to be heavier. But even worse than that is the toxins, while they're waiting to be stored or while they're floating around, can have time to invade your blood, your brain, your lungs, your heart, your eyes, your stomach, your liver, and your sexual organs, and create a toxic environment, right? It can change the way our hormones flow. It can change the way our enzymes function. It can change the way our neurotransmitters are functioning. So we can see all kinds of different things happening, whether it's twitching from heavy metals or anxiety and depression and low libido and inability to get pregnant, excess inflammation, joint pain. I mean, there's just endless amounts of things that could be coming from toxic buildup. So how does detoxification actually happen? So again, our bodies are designed with natural ability to detox, and that's daily. So your body detoxifies itself through main organ systems like the liver, which has over 500 functions. I mean, it's got to be one of the hardest working organs next to our heart. The liver, the kidneys, our digestive system, lungs, blood, and just about every cell in our body also has a means to detoxify. So you can imagine there's a lot of organ systems that are working to detoxify. Now, the thing is, when our body gets overwhelmed with all these toxins and it's working extremely hard every day to get rid of, once it starts to get backed up, your organs begin to get taxed, right? And they're overburdened with toxin. And then symptoms begin to creep in and we get fatigue and digestive problems, bloating and muscle aches, and the list continues. So toxicity is basically the point in which our body has met its threshold. So all your bodies have a threshold of the amount of toxins it can detoxify on a daily basis, the amount of toxins that it can clear from your body daily. Now, this is going to vary greatly, and I think this is important to note that it's highly individualized. So the more you nourish your body, the more you rest, the more toxins your body can then process. Not saying that you generally put in more toxins, because that's the cool thing about when we get to a place of really nourishing our body and resting more, we also tend to put less toxins inside our body. But the ones we do encounter that we don't have control over, our body can clear those at a faster rate, therefore decreasing our risk and maybe preventing more disease processes. However, once we hit that threshold, then our body really starts to back up. Like, think about getting a clog in your sink faucet, right? And your water's running on the same, like if you turn your water on and your drain pipe is clear, right? The water's just gonna go out as quickly as it's coming in. But when you start to build up a clog inside that drain, what happens, right? The water starts to build up in the sink slowly, maybe over time, but as that clog gets bigger and bigger, and as the water comes faster and faster, eventually it's just going to overspill. It's going to meet the threshold. It's going to run all over the place. And that's where we see disease wreak havoc on the body. So I'm not here to say that, yes, toxicity is why we have disease processes. I'm here to say that it's definitely not helping you prevent or to heal from whatever's happening inside your body. Could it be a culprit of disease? Absolutely. Because if detoxification isn't happening naturally, your immune system is going crazy. It's overworked, it's overstressed, as are your adrenals, and all these organ systems that your body really needs to do vital functions. So we don't want to reach that level of that threshold. And that's why we got to develop some of these detoxification principles that I'm going to talk about today into our everyday life. Again, it's not just about doing a cleanse once every 6 months, but it really boils down to, okay, how can we include habits into our daily life that help our body detoxify? And therefore, could we see greater energy and prevention and weight loss and just health in general? Absolutely. But before we get there, I want to continue on with how our body detoxifies. There's 3 phases to the liver, and your liver is going to really do the bulk of the detoxification, of the processing and breaking down of these toxins to package them into a safe form that your body can then excrete. So we don't want to just eliminate these toxins, break them down into what we call free radicals, which is what a lot of people are doing. They're entering part way through the detox phase and then backing up, and then these toxins get broken down into free radicals, which almost become worse to the body, and therefore can't then get finished processed into safe packaging that can be excreted through your lungs or your kidneys or your bowel movement. So again, the 3 processes are process number 1, or phase number 1, is the process of the toxins through oxidation, reduction, or hydrolysis. So it's basically taking the toxins and breaking them down. Phase 2 is a really critical phase that, again, so many people get backed up in, or phase 2 isn't working well. And this takes glutathione, which is a hard substance to get, but it's one to know when we talk about how you can help detoxification, and that's glutathione. But phase 2 is the conjunction pathway. So it further breaks down the toxin byproducts into water-soluble compounds that can be excreted. So these toxins go from fat-soluble, dangerous, into water-soluble that your body can then just excrete. Now again, when this gets backed up, we have all these particles then that get broken down into these free radicals. And if those free radicals can't get converted into the water-soluble compounds, that's where we see so much damage so quickly. But if we move into phase 3, this is the final phase of detoxification. This involves cell membrane proteins that control the modified products elimination. Basically, phase 3 then packages those water-soluble compounds with the cell membrane proteins, and then it allows it then to be excreted safely. So again, if phase 2 isn't functioning properly due to nutrition deficiencies or disease, toxic byproducts from phase 1 can linger in the body, and those have extremely dangerous effects. The susceptibility to toxicity is highly individualized. It's dependent on one's ability to biotransform and excrete toxins through detoxification, and it's going to come from nutrition status and diet. Your genetics are going to play a role in this, as well as your stress factor. And I think those are the top 3 things that we have to be aware of when it comes to detoxification. Again, how is your environment? How are you nourishing your body, and how are you resting? Yes, there's a level of we can't control our genetics, but we can certainly control our epigenetics, and that's how our genes are expressed. So just because you got passed down maybe what you call quote unquote bad genes doesn't mean you're going to express those genes. We do have the ability to express genes differently based on the environment that we're living in and how we're nourishing our body. So how do we help our body detoxify? Well, all of us can really keep our body running safely and effectively at little to no cost. In fact, on Friday, I'm going to release a podcast on 5 free, completely free ways to detox your body daily, and you're going to want to check that out. But I have some other things that I really think are important to talk about. So again, it's important to take your daily habits as a larger picture. So when we talk about detoxification and how do we help our body detoxify, we have to look at the daily habitual practices that we have going on, because the larger picture says consistency is key, and what we do over time is going to build up and matter. So it's not these all or none kind of things that we do sporadically throughout the year. It's really, what are you doing consistently? Because whatever you're doing consistently, your habitual practices, that's how you're going to express those genes. That's how your body's going to detoxify. And that's going to be your greatest indicator of health. So take a minute and think about, what are you doing daily? Like, what is your morning routine? What is your evening routine? How is your exercise regimen going? How do you have any practices that help your body de-stress? I mean, I'm going to dig into this a little bit more in a second, but it's important to take note of, what are you doing daily? Because whatever you've been doing daily is probably what you've been doing daily for a while. These habits, right? And so we need to create new habits, which we're going to talk about this summer, of course. I'm getting super pumped up about summer. Are you? I mean, like, super pumped up about it. But for now, we have to start to look at, and this is great going into summer, look at what are we doing daily, because what we're doing daily is going to be expressed if it hasn't been expressed already. Okay, so there's a lot of things that you can do to help your body detoxify daily. I'm going to break down specifically 5 things, but I want to give you a little overview of a few more. So manage stress, move your body, breathe fresh air, getting rid of negative energy and emotions in your life, finding better support, lessening time in the digital world, eating more whole foods, cleaning out your beauty products and your cleaning supplies, just detoxing of clutter. I mean, there's so many things that we can do to help kind of give our body a breath of fresh air. But I want to break down 5 things, like I said, that anyone could do to really help their body to detoxify and create that right environment. So the first few I'm going to talk about are lessening our toxicity, and the last few I'm going to talk about how we can then go back and help support our body. So again, breaking it down into, and you'll see this if you do the Simple Cleanse program, or if you've heard about the Simple Cleanse, this is how we structure it. It's how do you provide the right environment, right? How do we decrease our stress load? And then how do we support that back up? So it's breaking down to build it back up. So the first one that I really want to talk about is chemical exposure. Now, like I said, I live in the middle of Iowa. As I look out my windows, there's cornfields, right? And I know that they're using a lot of chemicals on that. Does that have an effect on me? Absolutely. Does that have an effect on my kids? Absolutely. Can I control that? I mean, I can move, right? But nearly every state now has nearly every state is testing high air qualities for pesticides and herbicides. But I can control other things that I come in contact with. So when we talk about reducing chemical exposure, I'm saying maybe you switch to safe beauty products. I mean, that's one of the best ways because our skin absorbs 70% of what we put on it. And so using safe products or even just using less of them. Now, I know safe products tend to cost more, but we really could get away with our skin and our body just doesn't need help keeping itself moisturized. In fact, over moisturizing your system can actually make your skin drier. And so we just have to kind of give our body room again to do the job that it can. But even if you want to do that, of course, I use shampoo and soap and makeup, but switching to safe products. And I'm going to list up some of my favorite beauty products in the show notes because I've really gone on this journey of trying to find products that actually work without a massive cost associated with that. So I'll showcase my beauty routine in the show notes. Other ways you can do it is to buy more organic produce and foods. Now, in the last podcast I had on glyphosate, is organic really better? You totally should listen to that because it's going to showcase a lot about what's happening in the environment and therefore in the body. But I definitely buy the Dirty Dozen. So those are the top 12 foods with the highest pesticide and herbicide content. Buying those organic. One quick tip for that is to buy them frozen. Frozen is always going to be less expensive than fresh. So even if you can't afford that, looking at least the Dirty Dozen list, I really can't afford all organic produce all the time. And so I try to just stick with the Dirty Dozen list and also buying really clean meat. And then I just changed to all natural cleaners at home. So we don't use any harsh chemicals at home. We really just stick with the basics, which oftentimes is like baking soda and vinegar. Hydrogen peroxide can be great too sometimes. So we just really try to stick with the all natural cleaners. So I'll try to break down some of that in the show, but trying to get rid of those toxins as much as you can. Number 2 is to clean up your diet. I really like to talk about this in building up, but I thought it was important to talk about this here, is that sugar is going to be really, really harmful on our body because sugar is not just causing this spike in insulin. Yes, that's happening, but it's also causing a huge depletion in nutrients. And I think that gets overlooked with sugar too. And maybe why your body craves sugar all the time is not simply because it's craving sugar, it's just craving nourishment. And so those cravings that make you want to eat more can simply come because your body is just malnourished. You could be eating a lot of food and be malnourished. I learned that in my own blood work. And that's a battle that I'm fighting right now is how can I really nourish my body with the right foods and the right amounts so that my body is not just constantly wanting food because it's simply malnourished. So eliminating sugar, but filling it back in with all kinds of positive foods like fresh herbs like cilantro and parsley are some of the most detoxifying foods that we could consume. Eating more produce, more fiber, just whole foods in general. So trying to get away from sugar, it's again, not looking at this in a calories mindset. So it's not just about eating less, but it's about eating right. So getting rid of sugar, but adding more things back in. Another thing that can be really beneficial is juicing greens. So another tip that is going to be really beneficial is cleaning our mindset of harmful thoughts and toxic relationships. This one is a really tricky subject, but if you've been in a toxic relationship or you have a toxic mindset, whether you're stressed all the time or, maybe your finances aren't working out well, your marriage is struggling, you have a bad friendship, whatever's going on, you can literally feel the weight of the emotional stress, right? Like you can feel that inside your body and it's wreaking havoc. In fact, some believe that we will never have a healthy body as long as we have unhealthy relationships. So the health of your body is statistically proportional to the health of your relationships in your life. That means your relationships with your finances, your relationships with the people you work with, the relationships with your spouse, especially. So the relationships specifically with the people you spend the most time or the things you spend the most time doing or thinking about. Same goes for why I'm a fan of social media detoxes, and I do them too, especially on the weekends. It's just taking space to clear the air because it's easy to let envy overwhelm, and then you all of a sudden create this toxic mindset just based on envy that doesn't need to be there. And so that is really, really big. It's defining what are the healthy relationships in your life? What are the unhealthy ones? Because again, statistically speaking, your body is only as healthy as your most unhealthy relationship. So they say, you become who you hang out with. And not always can you change that, right? You probably can't change your boss or the coworkers you work with, but you certainly have the ability to maybe work on your marriage or to work on your friendships and really to develop positivity within those. And again, we're going to dig into that this summer, but it's so critical to talk about because I believe that 50% of our health has to boil down to the stress and the mindset of our body. So that's number 3. So number 1 is get rid of chemicals. Number 2 is try to avoid sugar. Number 3 is to avoid unhealthy relationships. Now let's build it back up. Number 4 is create space. Now here's the thing about space. It's really scary and really frightening because we've been taught to hustle and to work harder and there's always something that needs to be done. Trust me, I live in that battle. The dishes haven't been done since Monday and I'm recording this on a Wednesday and I'm sorry that's so disgusting. Our house kind of smells like dirty dishes and I can't believe I'm telling you that. But that's the reality, right? I have learned through my health crisis that I have to create space to rest even more than my dishes have to get done. Yes, are they a stress? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, I have to balance that. Stressing about the dishes is less stress than cleaning the dishes all night and going to bed late and really never having that downtime for me to just refresh. That sounds really selfish, and I think a lot of people could take it as selfishness, but I can assure you that me developing this 30 minutes of downtime, of quiet time, has really allowed me to get more done than I used to get done, and with more joy. And my family can attest to that because Mama hasn't always been happy. And I'm really learning that space and letting things go has really brought a lot more joy to my life. I think sometimes we work so hard all the time that we really create no space to really live in happiness and joy and to really find ourselves. And so I think creating space is so healthy for our mindset, but also for our body because detoxification, again, the majority of it is going to happen when we're resting, when we're in the parasympathetic mode, the rest and digest phase, not in the sympathetic mode where we live most of our life of that fight or flight response when we're constantly working and we're on the go and we're driving and we're putting out fires all the time. No, detoxification often happens when we're sleeping or just resting in our parasympathetic mode. And so we have to allow space to get there more often. This might mean you have to schedule it into your schedule. I have to do that, or create a morning routine. So, just have something set in stone. So it's not a decision you have to make. It's just a thing that you do because it's already set in stone. It becomes a ritual. It becomes a preset for your body. So again, that's number 4 is to create space. And number 5 is just to add in nourishing foods and nourishing practices. So what I mean is, don't get so caught up in what you shouldn't be eating. I know I said don't eat a lot of sugar, but here's the thing. Focus more on what you get to add back into your diet. So put the focus in on all the nourishing foods you could be eating and how those are making you feel. Really pay attention to how they're making you feel because your feelings can drive your actions. And so pay attention to, does that smoothie make me feel good in the morning? Man, maybe I had so much energy and I didn't realize over that bowl of cereal that I wasn't even hungry till lunch and I got so much done. Really pay attention because those can start to drive your actions and we can start to live based on how we feel rather than just the emotional component. So we can kind of change that. But adding good things in also takes the stress out of, oh, you can't eat this, you can't eat that, you can't eat that. So now what do you eat, right? Like then we get so stuck in the negativity of it that we can't move beyond to see the positivity in it. And so focusing on the positive of what you can add back in, and some great things to add back in are warm lemon water in the morning, more whole foods, some more vegetables and fruits, and just foods grown from the earth. And there's so many combinations to this, but eating well and eating the right foods can make all the difference. Like I said, fresh herbs can be so healthy, like cilantro and parsley, some of the best detoxifying foods that we have. And just finding combinations of those that really fill your body up and make you feel good. So those are my top 5 things to help your body detoxify. I know they're kind of broad. I'm going to break some of them down more in the blog post. And then on Friday, like I said, I'm going to give you 5 free specific detox things that you could add to your everyday life. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. But that really is, at the end of the day, what detoxification means. Sure, it's enticing to go on a quick weight loss program to feel better, especially when you're desperate for change. Like, I get that. They're enticing. You see other people doing it. They're seeing success. But the reality is that we need to take our pace much slower and focus on nourishing whole foods, implement new behaviors and lifestyle changes to work for your body. See, diets and programs often are a strategy to work against your body, to try and beat your body into submission and to force your body into something that it doesn't naturally want to do. So rather than working against your body, we just have to come to a place of understanding and listening to our body. Because at the end of the day, when we talk about detoxification, it's pretty simple. Like, your body is detoxifying daily. There's nothing you need to do to help that other than create the space. So again, detoxing happens every single minute of every day. It's our job to oil and fuel the intuitive machine, which is our body, for better health and for a whole body perspective. Of course, there's always 2 sides of the story, and more likely there's more research on both sides. But here's the thing. I hope now that you put your opinion aside, and now once you understood what detoxifying is and how you should, and just what your body needs for you, I hope you can form your own opinion about detoxifying and cleansing. Now, here's my deal with my body is that I know my body's detoxifying daily. I know that I am working to feel good and to create that space. However, I still live real life. So I still indulge once in a while. I still don't get hung up on living perfectly within the box of health. I still get stressed. I still allow my emotions to get the best of me. I still get exposed to toxins. I still sometimes will slather a bad sunscreen on my skin because that's all there is. Like, there are times of just realistic life where I'm not so caught up in the all or none that, yes, maybe my body is having a higher toxic load at those times. Do I try to be cautious? Of course. There's a happy medium, and I feel like I really want us to get to this place. That's why I choose to once a year sometimes twice a year, go through my program called the Simple Cleanse. And it's just a program that helps you clean up your life. So I just take a month a year or 2 months a year to really tighten down on my life and really create space to do the deep cleaning. Because yes, my body is doing a better job of detoxifying daily, and I can feel the difference in that compared to when I was in the thick of my sickness. But I also noticed that I can feel so much better for months and months and months after I really tighten things down for a period of time so that my body can really do the deep cleaning, and then it revs up even more. So there can be great changes that come. Now, you don't have to do that. I mean, if you're living a really strict, healthy life in general, maybe your body doesn't feel like that. I just know for me personally that I probably splurge a little too often, and I don't even like to call it a splurge. I probably allow a little too many more things into my life, just being realistic with this, than maybe I would if I was really cut and dry about it. And therefore, I just use that as a backup to enhance my body and my immune system. So if you want to learn more about the Simple Cleanse, I know I've talked about it, mentioned it in here a little bit. I really do love it. It was created by me, for me, and it worked for me. And I really want to give that to you because it's a cleanse that requires no supplementation. It just shows you the full approach to detoxifying your body naturally. So it's going to go into mindset, emotions, relationships, food, and exercise to make a huge difference. So again, you can learn more about that. Find all of the information on today's show in the show notes at simplerootswellness.com/086. And again, make sure you head on over there, sign up for the email list, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and check out all the resources that I gave you for today's show, including my beauty regimen and those products that I love. Now, I don't work with any specific brands. I'm not a consultant or a representative of any brand. And so I really just tried to provide my best unbiased results for you. So again, head on over there. Now, before we go, I do want to tell you the quick fact of today. So one great detoxification thing or daily habit that we could get ourselves into that can make a huge difference, and that so many experts tell you should do, and it's warm lemon water in the morning. So what's the deal with warm lemon water? Well, I have an entire podcast that you can listen to in depth about it, but basically what it's going to do is it's going to help flush the digestive system, getting the enzymes rolling in your stomach, as well as kind of wake up the body. So it kind of does this flush of your digestive system, turns on those enzymes needed to start the digestive process for the day, and it flushes through your blood system, getting rid of any excess toxins that your body's been trying to filter out throughout the night, flush them out into your kidneys, and just refresh your body for the day. Not to mention, the lemon gives you a little shot of vitamin C, and that helps your immune system. Now, I've been doing some research on vitamin C, and some experts really believe that it's one of the most powerful virus-fighting vitamins that we have today. In fact, not even just a vitamin, but one of the most virus-fighting substances that we could be consuming, and yet it is so safe. We're going to talk more about that, but the lemon water gives you a little push of vitamin C, which helps your immune system. Pretty impressive, right? So here's a little quick tip to get more lemon water. Every single week, I juice 3 or 4 lemons. I have a juicer, but you could just squeeze them with a fork into a jar. I just use a little mason jar. I put all the fresh lemon juice in there, just straight lemon juice. And then every day in the morning, I pour a little bit of that lemon juice, and even throughout the day. So I don't have to juice it all week long. And I don't know what it is. It's just like that one more step of cutting a lemon, juicing a lemon, kind of having the mess of it that you can eliminate throughout the week. And I can assure you, I drink so much more lemon water when I do this, and my kids even pull it out throughout the day. It's great to help with hydration and other things. So if you want a little hack, just buy some lemons, juice them all at once, and then every single week, 5 to 7 days later, when your lemon juice runs out or you just need a fresh batch, you can just go back through and juice some more. So that's my quick tip on getting more lemon water in your day. So I hope that helps, and you can start your day off on the right foot. But before we go, I wanted to share a few more things that are coming up. So we have some really great shows coming up. I'm going to do another Breakfast with Alexa, showcase some summer foods that we're eating, and really help create a meal plan for you that's quick and easy to make your summer go well, and so you're not a slave in your kitchen. The second thing is next week we have a Lyme disease expert on. This is tick season, and we're really coming into it hard. And so I wanted to bring a Lyme disease expert on. I personally have Lyme bacteria in my body, as most people do. And he's going to help break down what Lyme disease is, how we can heal from it, and even how we can prevent it. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, don't forget to stay tuned for Friday, where I'm going to release those 5 free things you can do to help your body detox daily. Stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to see you back here on Friday.